Hello everyone, this is part 3 of What If Naruto Realized Hinata Loved Him, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Dinner was quiet without Naruto. Though, Hinata's mind wasn't as calm and tranquil. A tornado ripped through her mind, and made her hesitate as she ate. It was quite awkward. After a dinner with only sounds of chopsticks clapping against plates and bowls, and Kiba trying to chew on his food, Hinata promised to meet up with Tenten at the staircase. Tenten said she'd get the flute player girl, neither Hinata nor Tenten knows her name, and they would give Hinata her first lesson. So Hinata retreated to her room, and finally changed her clothes. She hadn't really noticed that she has been wearing the same thing for about 5 days and not even taken a shower. Ew. Hinata closed the door behind her, as she looked around her bland room. She moved the curtains over the window, and turned her bedside lamp on. Taking 2 towels and a hairbrush, she walked into her bathroom. She set the towels and hairbrush on the countertop, and turned the faucet to the shower. As the water just began to heat up, Hinata took off her clothing. She closed the door, and then slid the shower door open, and stepped in. The hot water rained over her pale skin, as she just sighed in relief. Her nerves were relaxing as her mind was clearing. Weren't showers so relaxing, or what? She asked herself, peacefully. Meanwhile, Naruto had the same idea. He took a towel from his closet in his guest room, and opened his bathroom door. He set the towel on the toilet seat, and turned the faucet on the shower. He closed the bathroom door, then slid out of his clothes, and walked into the shower. Even though he was relaxing, he felt a dark cloud over his head and a cement weight burden on his shoulders. Weren't showers supposed to be relaxing? He asked himself, irritated. Icy water suddenly poured onto Hinata. Icy water also suddenly poured onto Naruto. Maybe it wasn't so smart to shower at the same time. EEP. Hinata yelped, running out of the shower and grabbing her towel. Naruto screamed, running out of the shower and wrapping himself in his towel. Yeah, not too bright of an idea. After a funny experience, Hinata changed into a simple faded red, more like dimmed pink, robe. She tied her wet hair in a bun, and slid on socks. She opened her guest room door, and walked out into the hall, closing it behind her. She had to meet up with Tenten and the flute player. So Hinata made her way down 2 flights of stairs, and met Tenten at the 3rd flight. Tenten had the same idea as Hinata, changing her clothes, a grey shirt with white Japanese symbols, saying, Junetsu, or, passion, and black sweatpants. She had bare feet, with bright orange nail polish. She probably painted her toes before they left on a mission, because it looked pretty weird with grey and black clothing. Hey Tenten, Hinata said, poking her in the shoulder. So how's my oh so great sensei? Tenten rubbed her closed eyelids. Tired. So where's the flute girl? Who knows? Ahem. Tenten mud brown perked up, as she and Hinata faced the top of the staircase. Hey, Hinata muttered, wondering why the heck she looked mad at them. What's up? Don't you, what's up, me? The flute girl growled. I am not only some flute lass, I have a name, so mind your words. Hinata blinked in confusion. Who the heck says, lass? She thought. Tenten laughed a little under her breath. Sorry, then what's your name? The flute girl stepped down the stairs, and made eye contact with Tenten. For a second, you would think she would have slapped Tenten, she looked angry enough. I am Yasusuke, she started off. And just because I can play a flute, does not mean you can label me as some flute lass. Tenten smiled and nodded. Okay, Yasusuke. Tenten's jaw dropped. So the flute girl was Reiken's sister. Didn't Tenten say that Reiken might marry her? Oops. Hey, so you're Reiken's sister? Hinata curiously asked. Yes, indeed I am. I am his twin sister, but of course, he is minutes older than I, she sighed and shook her head. So he is the one who inherits the throne. Well, Suki, Tenten said, trying to snap her out of her gloomy setting. So you're going to help me, help Hinata for the wedding? Heavens no. Suki laughed. I'm helping her become queen material. Hinata scowled. Royalty or not, she was pissing Hinata off. Tenten rolled her eyes at Hinata, giving Hinata a, she's a pain but we need her help, look. Hinata calmed down, and cracked a hard smile. Well, when should we start? Tomorrow. That leaves us about 2 weeks of teaching. Suki's steel blue eyes shifted to Tenten. 10 days of teaching. I will choose what we teach Miss Hinata. Fine, Tenten muttered. Whatever you want, Princess Suki. Good. Now you two get some shut-eye, you need it, paupers. And with that last remark, she stood up from sitting on the stair steps, and walked up. Okay, more like waltzed up. Hinata threw her fist against the air, as Suki vanished up the second flight. What a pain. Hinata hissed. Well, just think, Tenten exclaimed, whispered to Hinata. She'll remain a spoiled princess, while you become queen. Hinata thought about that for a second. You make it sound like I'm using Raken. Tenten hanged her head down. Get some sleep, lover gal. Tenten stood up, and ran up the stairs, heading to her guest room on the 4th floor, before Hinata could make any remark. Naruto changed into an oversized white t-shirt and navy blue sweatpants. He sat on his bed and looked at his fingers. Why was he looking at his fingers? Who knows? Kiba gave up knocking on his door, asking him if he wanted to talk about all this. But Naruto blocked Kiba out of his head. So Kiba gave up, and made Shikamaru start knocking on his door. When Shikamaru finally agreed with Kiba and started banging on Naruto's door, he fell asleep after 4 knocks and saying, "Come on, Naruto." A few times. So Kiba had to drag Shikamaru back into Shikamaru's guest room. Then Kiba gave up entirely, and went go to bed himself. Naruto hit his head against the window. I am stupid, he muttered, hitting his head a few more times against the glass. My lord, I am blind. Naruto started beating himself up, bashing his head against the window, and hitting the wall with his fists. It seemed to be instant suicide, but Naruto wouldn't kill himself if he wanted to. He learned life is too precious for that. Without thinking, he stood up, and opened his door. Something was moving him down the hall, as if he was sleepwalking. Before Naruto knew it, he was knocking on someone's door. Wide awake, he had no idea what he was doing. A tired moan cut the silent air. The knob turned, and Naruto held his breath. A pea-girl bumped into Naruto's chest. She looked up and Naruto froze. It was Hinata. Though she looked tired, she seemed to have a glow. She had pale and soft skin, like a sweet child. Paper white eyes, with such a warm and soft expression. Raven black hair, overlapping her collarbone. And her shortness, like she'll never grow out of looking like a child. Ah, Naruto said, gulping loudly. How are you, Hinata? Hinata's expression turned sweetly, as if she was in love again. That made Naruto's nerves pop up in excitement. Naruto, you'll be. Hinata cooed, touching Naruto's forehead. And you're all banged up. Naruto felt the touch on his head. It felt like she was healing his pain. And the pain in his heart. Hinata, I have to talk to you about something. Hinata caught herself, and pulled her hand away from Naruto. What are you doing? He's a damned boy, and you hate him, she reminded herself. Hinata, Naruto began. Good night, she shouted, slamming the door in Naruto's face. Naruto stood, stunned, staring at the door in disbelief. Hinata put her back against the door, and let her body slide down to the ground. Tears rolled down her eyes, as she tried her hardest not to sound like she was crying. Naruto fell to his knees and looked at the door, blinking back his tears. Hinata, I know you can hear me, he said. Hinata kept silent. Well, I'm sorry. Hinata bit her lower lip, and just listened. Even though you hate me. I don't hate you, Naruto wiped the bee off his forehead. I love you. Hinata glanced out the window. The moonlight peering through the glass window seemed to be the only light in her dark room. And how lonely the moon looked, made her feel worse about herself, as if she were the moon, alone in the dark sky, and having to wait for the sun to come back up, so the moon would have someone to talk to. Hinata, good night, Naruto said, knowing she doesn't want to talk. I love you. Good night, Hinata slipped out. Hinata covered her mouth before her conscience said anything more. Naruto smiled, as he stood back up, and walked back to his room. Hinata stayed where she was, her back against the door, and cried. Love hurts. It really does. Hinata, wake up. Hinata blinked her eyes open, until the picture was clear. She fell asleep against the door. Someone knocked on the door impatiently. Hinata, are you up? It's Tenten. Hinata moved away from the door, and stood up, holding her weight against the doorknob. Yeah, I'm up, she said, rubbing her eye. The gross feeling of dried tears was sticking to her skin. I'll get dressed and be down soon. Fine, meet me and Suki outside after breakfast, okay? Okay, Hinata said, opening her closet and pulling out something to wear. Hinata put on a cyan blue long-sleeved shirt and long black pants. She brushed her boring hair and washed her face before she left her room. Naruto was at breakfast, and he was sitting with Shikamaru and Kiba. Everything seemed pretty normal. Hinata excused herself early, for 3 reasons. 1. She had to meet up with Tenten and Suki. 2. She wasn't hungry anymore. 3. Naruto was there, and he kept trying to talk to Hinata. So Hinata waited outside, getting cold from the morning air. Hands covered Hinata's eyes. Guess who? Tenten, Hinata said, knowing the answer. Dang, Tenten sighed, removing her hands from Hinata's eyes and pouting. You're no fun. Tenten had her brown hair in low pigtails, lying on her chest. She wore a black shirt with a gray apron, and black shorts, and her blue ninja sandals. So what's with the apron? Hinata asked. Oh, you noticed. Tenten giggled, dusting off her gray apron. Suki-san said it fits me. Hinata sighed. Of course, the apron means a worker girl, or a poor pauper, but whatever, Tenten. Come on girlies, Suki sighed, walking to Tenten and Hinata. We've got work to do. Suki wore a mint dress with a light pink ribbon in her brown hair. Her hair was in a ponytail, held by the light pink ribbon. She had light wooden kimono sandals too, for comfort. So what's for the first day of Suki and Tenten's 10 days of learning? Hinata asked, her tongue tied. What? Suki asked, snobbishly. What in the world did you just say? Tenten started laughing. Suki and Tenten's 10 days of learning. It's a tongue twister. Suki rolled her eyes. Oh, grow up. Hinata gave Tenten a, why does she act like her age and stop being so bossy, look. Tenten ignored it and clasped her hands together. So what are we going to do for Hinata's first lesson? Suki shifted her eyes to Hinata. Her eyes looked cold and unforgiving. Hinata felt her goosebumps stick up. What? She asked, scared of the evil look. I've heard you're a shinobi, is that correct? Suki asked. Hinata nodded shyly. Yes. Ah, then I've got the first lesson planned. Suki proclaimed. Suki led Tenten and Hinata to the forest. The forest where they had to find the heiress. The forest where the heiress is. The forest where the old Hinata is. That forest. So, what's my lesson? Hinata asked, bored of walking in circles in the forest. Shinobi training, Suki said, not showing any emotion. How is that going to help Hinata be a queen? Tenten argued. Will you shut up? Suki yelled at Tenten. Tenten froze, and then pouted. Sorry, Your Majesty. Suki stopped walking and turned around to face Tenten and Hinata. Suki's mad expression started to wear down. For every ounce of royalty or leadership in your B, does not mean that you are a trophy in a glass case, just for viewing or making simple decisions. You have to be able to fight also, and traitors will always try to you, and relying on your guards aren't always the safest things to do. She smirked and put her hand her hip. Suese was a fool to rely on her guards. They left her to S in this forest, maybe she deserved it. Hinata grinded her teeth. You, shut up, she commanded Suki. How dare you disrespect the S? Suki chuckled. Ha, well, looks like you want to slap me. But I wouldn't if I were you. She put her index finger on Hinata's nose. Because I'm not like Suese. I can fight back. Hinata swung her fist back and punched it forward. Suki glided to the side, swiftly. TSK, TSK. Hinata tried kicking Suki. Suki simply backed away. You call yourself a shinobi? Suki laughed soon as Hinata tried power kicking again. Oh, police, I've seen better. Suki tried punching Hinata in the gut, but Hinata slyly grabbed her fist. Suki's eyes widened as Hinata unmercifully pushed the fist back, while Suki tried pushing her fist forward. It was just a distraction, while Hinata swung her foot to slug Suki. Suki grabbed Hinata's fist and swung around, making the kick fail. An hour passed of useless and attempting blows. Suki and Hinata were exhausted, and not giving up on the pointless game. Using ninjutsu and genjutsu wasn't allowed, only taijutsu, since Suki can't do ninjutsu or genjutsu. Tenten just sat there, eating her lunch and watching with pure entertainment. Suki blocked Hinata's punch with her arms. Hinata pushed forward and flipped over Suki's head. Quote, Tenten caught Suki before she fell down. Tenten glared at Hinata. What the heck was that all about? She demanded. Hinata didn't look up. She bowed her head once more. I'm so sorry, Suki-san. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Tenten ignored Hinata and put Suki down on the ground. Suki, are you alright? Suki-san, I'm sorry, Will you shut up? Tenten said, annoyed. She's not S. Come on, we need to take her home for medical attention. Hinata sat up and looked at Tenten with sad eyes. I'm sorry. Hinata stood up and picked up Suki, putting her on her back. Good. Now come on, Tenten said, running with Hinata. Wait. Hinata stopped and tripped forward in shock. Tenten also fell, but she fell backwards for trying to stop quickly. Did you say something? Hinata and Tenten asked each other in unison. No, you said something. They said again in unison, looking freaked out and bug-eyed. Hinata felt something poking her in the back. Eep! She shrieked, jumping up and dropping Suki cold. Tenten was so shook up that she shrieked when Hinata shrieked. Wah! A smooth, high giggle tuned out the screaming. Hinata and Tenten looked at Suki. She was rolling on the ground, laughing. Her curly, clean brown hair was tangled and her clothes were covered with tears and dirt. Suki looked like she was having the time of her life. But not Hinata. Her. Talk about the scare of her life, too. Tenten dropped to her knees and stared with wide eyes. It was like a person popped back to life, like a cruel joke. Suki, Hinata muttered. Suki wiped away tear and smiled. I know you're sorry, but I am well. Hinata looked at her feet. That's not it. Oh. Why'd you scare us like that? Tenten and Hinata demanded. Suki smiled as she stood up and dusted off her dress. I did not mean to. Suki helped Tenten up, while Hinata just stood, baffled. Come now, Suki said, running her fingers through her tangles. The day is ending. Let's go home. Stop fussing. Shikamaru snapped. Since the girls were gone, Shikamaru and Kiba had to take care of the total mess, also known as Naruto. And the fact that Naruto keeps beating himself up, and that Shikamaru and Kiba aren't really medical pros, it only made it 50 times harder. Get away from me, Naruto whined, throwing everything he can find, books, scrolls, and even clothes from his closet. I don't want to take medicine. Naruto's entire forehead was wrapped up in a stretch bandage, along with his shoulders. Band-aids covered his fingers and his cheek. He had a black eye, too. Stop acting like a baby, Kiba sighed. If you don't take this, you'll probably S. Naruto threw a pillow at Kiba. I'm not dying. Not yet, Shikamaru sighed, waving the glass bottle with cherry red goo. This will calm your mind, and make you stop thinking about suicide. I'm not thinking about suicide. Naruto yelled, throwing his fist at Shikamaru. Like Suki had done when Hinata did that same move, he simply and nonchalantly moved to the side. But Hinata caught herself when that happened before. Naruto didn't. He plunged his fist into the wall. His knuckles started V, as he tried to calm down, slowly taking his fist back. He's been like that all day. Beating himself and things around him. It wasn't suicide though. It was expressing his feelings. Oh, really? Kiba snickered, pinching the back of Naruto's neck. Shikamaru didn't hesitate by dumping the contents of the bottle into Naruto's open mouth. Naruto put his hand over his mouth. It tasted horrible. Swallow it, Shikamaru hissed. Naruto shook his head, with his puffed up cheeks, storing the awful tasting goo. Kiba grabbed Naruto's shoulders and shook him around. Swallow it, already. Wait, Kiba, Shikamaru shouted, but it was too late. Naruto spit out the goo on Kiba's black shirt. Kiba looked down at his shirt. Naruto backed away. Shikamaru held his breath, trying not to laugh. It was silence. The door opened, breaking the silence. It was Tenten and Hinata. Hey, Tenten said, grinning. Why is everyone in the breakfast room? Tenten paused, staring at Kiba. Kiba faced Tenten. Oh, crap, he thought. Hinata blinked in confusion. What's that on? Don't ask. Shikamaru sighed, saving Kiba. Tenten put her hand on his shoulder. Come on, we'll clean you up, Pooch. Stop calling me that, Kiba said, irritated, as Tenten led him into the hallway. Hinata looked at Shikamaru and Naruto. Naruto smiled at Hinata. Hinata frowned at Naruto. What are you staring at? You. Naruto said, childishly. Wipe that dumb grin off your face, Hinata scowled. Shikamaru shrugged. I think the world turned inside out. You shut up, Hinata hissed, turning around and slamming the door behind her. What's with Hinata? Shikamaru asked when she left. Naruto sighed. Well, like you said. The world is turning inside out. Hinata sat next to Raken during breakfast. It was probably the only way to get Naruto away. Hello Hinata, Raken said when she took a seat next to him. How are you this morning? Peachy, Hinata said, yawning. She reached over the table and took a dish with steamed rice. Raken smiled. So I've heard my twin sister has met you already. Hinata took her chopsticks, and lifted some rice into her mouth. She and Tenten are teaching me how to be a queen. Hinata giggled. I know, it sounds dumb, but I guess I'm not queen material. Hinata, Raken said, wiping away some rice on her chin. I think you'll be great queen material. Hinata smiled warmly. Thanks, Raken, she said. Naruto wasn't enjoying the seat he was in. Naruto needed to stop this. Hey Hinata, Naruto called. What? She softly asked. Could you pass the steamed rice? Naruto asked, obviously not caring for the rice, but rather for Hinata. He wore the same childish grin he had on yesterday. Hinata scowled. She saw what he was trying to do. But too bad. He had his chance, and if he didn't decide to break her heart, they could have been more than just friends. Sure, she said boldly, picking up another steamed rice dish. Catch. Hinata threw the dish as if it were a frisbee, at Naruto. Naruto was surprised how aggressive Hinata became. He caught it, correction, he tried to catch it. It slipped out of his hands when he caught it and spilled all over his black shirt. Which, as a bonus, the shirt was something Hinata sewed Naruto for his birthday last year, along with a few scrolls as another gift. But that was when Hinata was in love with Naruto. Even though, it was awkward to spill something on your own gift you gave someone. Naruto was thinking the same thing too, even though it wasn't his favorite shirt, he liked it. It was black with white Japanese characters, Japanese letters, saying, Future Hokage. Hinata sat back down and kept quiet, and ate silently. She got up and left to meet up with Suki and Tenten. Dear, Suki said, as she examined the girls that morning. Hinata, dear, you are such a tomboy. Hinata nodded. Yes, why? Tenten giggled. Suki rolled her eyes and turned on her heels. Follow me, please. The girls followed Suki to the fourth floor of the castle, and down the hall. Suki opened the big maple door, to her white and red bedroom. Everything was white and or red. Her bed had a red blanket with white pillows and sheets. Her floor was white marble, as a long red carpet was centered in the middle leading to her desk. Her chair to her desk was white with a red cushion, while her desk was white with an inked red picture carved into it. It sort of looked like a crescent moon and the sun. Her couch was cherry red with ivory white pillows, as her dresser was white with red candles decorating it, along with the dress's red cushioned stool, so on with the same two colors. Suki pushed Hinata in the dress's stool in front of the mirror. Look at yourself, Suki said to Hinata. You're so unappealing, boring, tomboyish, and something no one looks at twice. She rolled her eyes and sighed. Hinata touched her face. I agree, she sighed. But, you could be nicer about it. Tenten folded her arms and snickered. You're lucky Hinata is tired today, Suki. Right, Suki said sarcastically. She'd me, would she not? Hinata smiled at the joke. I'd you in cold B. Suki laughed lightly, obviously sarcastically. Anyways, you need a new appearance. Oh. Tenten clapped her hands and grinned. Like a makeover. Hinata's white eyes widened. What were they going to do to her? Correct, Suki said. A complete makeover. Ah. Hinata stuttered, unsure what to do if they dare touch her. I don't. Suki snickered. Oh, you do not seem to have faith in your soon-to-be sister-in-law. Tenten just sighed and looked in the mirror. Suki was putting too much pressure on poor Hinata, and Tenten didn't want to be part of it. I trust you. Hinata couldn't believe those words escaped her own lips. And the moment those words escaped, she wanted to regret it. Crap. Suki started to grin. Now then, go on, and take a shower. But, Hinata whined, I already took a shower last night. Suki shivered. Horrid, take another. Hinata sighed, and stood up from the chair. She let Suki lead her to her bedroom's bathroom. And believe it or not, well obviously, it was white and red. Suki's favorite colors, maybe. Thank you, Hinata said ungratefully as she set the towels by the sink as always. Suki rolled her eyes back at Hinata and slammed the door. Do not ruin my bathroom, understand, lass? She called through the door. Who says lass? She needs to talk normally, not like an elder. Yes ma'am, Hinata said politely, locking the door. I won't. After a good half hour of hearing Hinata sing over the running water, Tenten fell asleep. Right on the floor, too. Too bad. She'd miss out. So, Hinata emerged in a light blue bathrobe from the stuffy bathroom shortly after Tenten fell asleep. Finally, Suki said, pulling Hinata back to the chair in front of the mirror. Now, K your old looks, farewell. Hinata looked at herself in the mirror. All she saw was a hideous girl, who had the impression of being shy. But that Hinata was supposed to be right. This Hinata is brand new. Maybe a new look would be okay, too. This Hinata is tough and rebellious, with no one to stand in her way. A queen that can fight, and will K if needed. This one doesn't love. This one lives in a damned world, with others who think they are her friend. They thought wrong. She'd harm them, or let them be harmed, without a heartstring even touched. She didn't care. Because what Hinata feels now, is that she is nothing more than a shinobi, who will marry a prince if the mission depended on it. But what Hinata didn't see, is what Naruto saw. A beautiful girl, with a heart of gold, with raven black hair, and paper white eyes full of hope and grace. Her moon-faced skin, soft peach-toned lips, and her shortness made her look cute and huggable. You wanted to run to her when you were sad, and cry all your emotion out, as she opened her loving arms and gave you a warm and soothing hug. She was beautiful, inside and out, and she was what the angels envied, and what the demons secretly admired. But now, Hinata seemed confused on who she was. Snapping back into reality, Hinata saw in the corner of her eye, Suki. Suki was scrambling around for things. Hairbrush, comb, hair dye, hairbands, hairdryer, leave-in conditioner, scissors, curling iron, hair gel, bobby pins, crimper, hair straightener, hair ties, hair clips, lipstick, blush, eyeshadow, mascara, eyeliner, fake eyelashes, cover-up, lip gloss, and etc. with the makeup and hair equipment. And, let's begin. Suki shrieked, as she dumped everything on the dresser. Tenten still was out cold on the floor, and couldn't be there to calm Hinata down. First, Suki grabbed the comb. Suki brushed most of the water out, and hummed. The tune was that song that she played on her flute at the funeral. Suki-san, Hinata asked, breaking her silence. Yes, Suki said, pausing on her humming. What was the song called? What song? The one you're singing. The one you played at the funeral. Oh, it's Raikens and My Lullaby. It's called, Lalu, Lalo. I like it. Can you teach it to me? Sure, later. And with that, Suki grabbed the metal scissors. Hinata put her hands on her head. No, not my hair. Your hair is hideous. Suki sighed, pulling Hinata's hands away. Too short, but too long. And by the looks of it, it will never grow any farther. I promise to do a good job. Hinata folded her hands on her lap, and closed her eyes tight. She tried to be like Sakura, and grow out her hair to be pretty. Until Sakura cut it, and she still looked pretty. So Hinata had a tough time with her hair. Ready, ready. Alright, Suki said, running the comb through Hinata's raven black hair, and then taking the scissors in grip. Snip, snip, comb. Snip, snip. Hinata closed her eyes shut in the process, letting Suki pull her head around. Snip, snip, comb. Snip, snip. Love it, Suki said, as she set the scissors down. Hinata opened her eyes, and blinked until the vision was clear. The wet hair stands bothered her eyes, and when she pulled them back, she froze. Her heart stopped. Her hair that she worked so hard to grow out was at her chin. It looked thin, and then looked thicker around the back of her head, as it nearly touched her shoulders at the back of the neck. Her bangs were left alone as they were growing themselves out, and were already reaching at her eyes, while Hinata had always pushed them to the sides. Suki actually gave her a good hairstyle, with some doubts, yes. Ah, Hinata muttered, fingering through it, still in shock. Me, too. Suki then reached for the makeup. Now to finish you look. Hinata shook her head, but gently enough not to mess with her new short hair. No makeup. Why not? Suki scowled, holding the mascara and mascara brush in hand. Because, Hinata said, covering her mouth. I dislike makeup. I never want to wear it. Suki rolled her eyes back and sighed. Makeup is not dangerous. I promise on my life that I will not make you look like a freak. Hinata looked down at her feet. Oh okay, she said timidly. And with that, Suki opened the small case of mascara and pulled out the thick, black brush. She took the brush and told Hinata not to close her eyes while she put on the mascara. Hinata promised. Suki painted Hinata's top eyelashes a little black, and made them flare upwards a little. Suki said Hinata wouldn't really look good with her bottom eyelashes with mascara, so Suki ignored that. Now some blush, and a little color. Suki said, dabbing faint pink blush on Hinata's cheeks, making her look like a doll in a box. Then she put on some faded pink eyeshadow, and brushed only a little on her eyelids. Hinata even experienced Suki coating her lips with a tasty lip gloss. Suki seemed to be skilled and gentle with this, unless she was pulling down the comb in Hinata's tough hair. Ouch. Suki took the hair curler, and plugged it in an outlet. After a few minutes of waiting to heat it up, Suki put Hinata's ends of her black hair in the crimper, and squeezed on it for a minute. Letting go, Hinata's hair was curled at the ends, and the long bangs touching her cheeks. You look gorgeous, Suki said, unplugging the hot crimper. Look in the mirror, now. Hinata already was. It was like, who is that girl? Why is she staring at me? And why does she think she's prettier than I am? I can tell she's thinking that. I mean, look at her. Stunning, isn't it? My best work, ever. Suki cheered, patting herself on the back. Hinata swallowed and nodded. It was good. Wow. Suki kept cheering. Lesson 2, Total Makeover, is complete. And Tenten slept through it. Poor Tenten. The day went fast after that. And when Hinata was changing to bed, she had a knock on the door. Hinata hurried and put on that boring oversized shirt with an orange cat on it, grinning. It was pretty ugly, but good sleepwear with some black boy shorts. Nighty night. Coming, Hinata said, pretending to be yawning. She unlocked the door and opened it gently, only to let her stomach drop. It was Naruto. Again, visiting at night. He was wearing his sleepwear, a dusty black shirt and black pants. White socks, and his face even more scratched up and beat. Yet, he looked handsome. I like your hair, Naruto said. Hinata gulped hard enough for him to hear. Thanks. Suki-san worked on it. It's pretty, he said, smiling. I liked it when you had short hair. Hinata nodded politely. Well, this hairstyle is sort of different than my old hair. It's still pretty. Thanks. Hinata sighed, bored with the conversation. Well, Hinata. Yes, I love you, he said, serious, and his eyes dimmed. I mean it. I love you with all my heart. Hinata's own warm eyes went cold. Well, I hate you, and I mean it. Naruto shook his head in disbelief. Who is this girl? She can't be Hinata. Why? Why do you hate me? Hinata bit her lower lip. You are a damned boy. Who's blind and stupid? There is no reason in the world for me to love you anymore. Naruto smiled kindly, which startled Hinata. Any more? He questioned. Hinata nodded shyly. See, you are blind. On an impulse, Naruto took her wrist, and pulled her into him. I'm not blind anymore, Naruto said, his forehead against hers. Hinata felt his breath tingle her lips. There they were, forehead to forehead, the closest they ever gotten. Now, tell me you love me, Naruto said, his eyes looking as romantic as possible. They were deep, and as blue as the sky. It was like a poem, inside jewels of good value. Hinata fell in the moment. Her mind was muffled by her heart. She began. Too late. Naruto the one Suki coated with strawberry lip gloss. Enjoying every moment of it, Hinata could feel something heavy fly off her heart. Something that was crushing it to make her hate Naruto. The burden flew up and off her heart, leaving no more heartache. But the dark burden landed on her conscience. I, Hinata said, pulling away from the lip lock. I hate you. Tears fell down her eyes, running her cheeks. She covered her face, bowing her down and sobbed loudly. I hate you, she said again, shaking her head. Naruto's blue eyes welled up a little, also. He wiped them away and sighed. I know you do, he began. But I don't. I love you. I hate you, Hinata sobbed, and repeating those hateful words. I hate you, Naruto. I hate you. Hinata fell to her knees, covering her face gently, but sobbing hysterically. On an impulse, Naruto went to his knees too, and hugged Hinata. Hinata threw her arms over his neck and sobbed on his shoulder. I hate you, she repeated with tears running down non-stop. Hinata couldn't stop pouring out her emotions that night. She cried and cried in Naruto's arms, saying she hated him and wanted him. And he told her he loved her. She told him she hated him. It repeated in a cycle for a while, until Hinata wore herself out crying in his arms, and fell asleep. Naruto picked her up and walked her into her room. He laid her on her bed, and put the covers over her. He would have been there with her, and wait for her to awake, but he too, was tired. And if he was found even in Hinata's room, his teammates and Raikon might get the wrong idea. Naruto closed the door behind him, and walked down the hall. Hey, Naruto, a voice muttered. Naruto turned around, and felt his nerves crawl backwards. It was Raikon, and he didn't look exactly happy. Naruto, where were you? Raikon asked, his dark hazel eyes glowing. Naruto let his jaw shift to the right a little. Nowhere. Oh, really? Raikon said. Yeah, I'm heading for bed. Naruto said, turning around and trying to walk fast. Raikon's sharp eyes were like knives. Naruto thought, closing and locking his bedroom door. Oh crap, I'm in love with his fiancée, of course he'd want me. Lesson 3, a tour around the castle. Now today, I will escort you around my home. Suki announced that morning. Tenten was wide awake, and still shocked on Hinata's new look. In fact, Suki barged into Hinata's bedroom and told Hinata what to wear. The look has to be complete. Tenten hates that she missed everything, because she fell asleep earlier. Nice clothing, Tenten said to Hinata. Thank you. Hinata was wearing this odd, blank white dress. It was plain and barely touched her ankles. Suki also gave Hinata a necklace that was a silver hoop of metal and silver strings on each section of the necklace. Front left, front right, and the back. It sort of reminds me of what Suese wore. I mean, the white dress and this necklace. Enough, Suki scowled. Do not interrupt your teacher. Hinata nodded. Sorry, sensei. Good, Suki said, her eyes shifting to Tenten. And you? Tenten bowed her head. Sorry, Her Majesty. Tenten emphasized on majesty. Suki sighed and twirled on her heels. Now, let's take a look. Suki ushered the girls on all 5 flights. The top flight, Flight 5, is the royal floor, Suki sang. Paintings of our past ancestors are hung, along with simple and not so pricey, pottery and art. This floor has only 6 rooms. One is my bedroom, another is Raikon's, then Raikon's private study, the hallway restroom, the relaxing room, hey, and then the empty room. Hinata's eye was caught at the pictures. The past queens and princesses seemed such strong shinobi, how was Hinata going to compete with that? Wait, Hinata said. The empty room. Suki's back was turned to Tenten and Hinata, as she slowly pointed to a large set of double doors. The doors reached the ceiling, that's how big they were. And they were centered in the back of the long hallway. Yes, they were my parents' bedroom. It's the biggest room in the entire castle, except the dining room. Tenten wasn't nervous to ask. Yes, my father was a when Raikon and I were only around 5. So my mother took the throne. She's of sickness only about 4 months ago. Suki explained, still managing to not cry. But you could tell she was blinking back the tears. Hinata felt her arm muscle ache. Why is everyone dying? And with that, Suki started breaking down in tears. Tenten rushed to her side and tried calming her down. But, why is everyone dying? Hinata asked. I don't know. A sickness has passed is what Reiken has guessed. Suki said, drawing in deep breaths after each word, and crying. Suki, Hinata asked. Please stop. Suki looked up, her face cold and under her eyes was her mascara dripping down a little. It looked like she was crying black tears. Wiping away the embarrassing mascara tears, she got up. I'm sorry, Suki said. You're right, that is no way for a lady to act. Especially a princess. Hinata smiled, even though it started attacking her insides. Suki was proud as usual. And when they got to the basement, Hinata was scared. What's this room? Hinata asked, shivering from the cellar's coldness. Suki put her hand on the large metal door. This is one of Reiken's many rooms. Reiken has been locked up in many of these rooms, and skipping meals and his practices and even meetings and events, cooped up in the cellar. He has been performing experiments, if you will. Tenten's brown eyes widened. What kind of experiments? Suki's palm turned pale, as her hand rested on the icy metal door. Ones to improve our village. We have been under pressure from the worldwide famine. Hinata snapped her fingers. The Sand Village is suffering from that, too. Kohona has been sending out food to all Sand Village, and our allies suffering under that same famine. Correct. Rain hasn't poured for quite some time, and nothing has grown. Our village is starving, and only receiving nothing more than a bowl of rice, a loaf of bread, and a glass of water a day. We are running low on food and water. Suki explained. And Reiken has been acting weird since then. He has been studying harder than usual, and being cooped up in these separate rooms. What's inside? Tenten asked, gripping her hand on the chilling handle. Suki slapped Tenten's hand away. I do not know. It's none of our business. Hinata cleared her throat. Just a peek. Suki shook her head. We cannot even if we wanted to. Each of these doors has a seal that is hard to break. And do not get any ideas of sneaking inside, because you will be punished by Reiken's choice and my rule. Tenten sucked lightly on her sore knuckles. Wow, he must really be obsessed with this problem. Suki nodded. Yes, I guess so. But now, we will leave these 3 doors to Reiken. And he might find a miracle for this famine. She winked her eye. He's a smart one, you know. Hinata nodded. He studies hard. I know. Suki turned on her heels, and starting up the staircase. There was a time he was studying all about you, Hinata-san. I know, Hinata giggled timidly. Tenten rolled her eyes. You guys need to get out more. She said, glancing back at the 3 metal doors. Lesson 4. A Queen's Manners. Now then, Suki said, as her, Hinata and Tenten sat themselves down in the library. Time to work on your manners. Lesson 4. Tenten said, sticking up 4 fingers. Only about 6 more. Suki nodded. Now, manners. Hinata ed an eyebrow. I know my manners. Apparently, not. Suki fired back. Hinata squinted angrily. Excuse me. You're excused, Suki laughed. Okay, enough. Let's begin the lesson. Standing up, Suki swayed gracefully in her black and silver gown. She walked right up to Tenten, and curtsied. Rule 1. Queens and princesses do not approach, but are approached. Also, you usually curtsy back. Tenten took the hint, stood up, and pretended to curtsy. Curtsies weren't something Tenten was used to. Good, Suki said. Hinata nodded like she was caring. She really didn't. Suki turned to Hinata. Rule 2. Always speak formally. Never be rude nor show any emotion besides being proper, pleased, or thankful. And say, understood, when you understand. Understand. Understood, Hinata said back. Tenten started enjoying this. Rule 3. Say please and thank you and you're welcome. She teased Hinata. Hinata sighed. Understood. Naruto. I wonder what he's doing right now. Hinata. Hinata snapped out of her own mind and looked back at Suki. Rule 4. Always pay attention to everything the speaker says, because it's rude if you do not listen. Suki hissed under her breath. Hinata tilted her head to the side. Understood, she lied. Rule 5, Tenten said. Let the guests kei your hand. Suki actually smiled. That's correct. Hinata repeated the cycle again. Understood. Rule 6. Always wear dresses or gowns. Suki announced. Underst, what? Hinata gulped. I can't wear dresses and gowns. Tenten pointed at Hinata. You wore that ugly white dress yesterday, and you were fine. Suki yanked Tenten's arm and dug her French-tipped fingernails into it. That dress is not ugly. It is a tradition to wear it in the village. Hinata ed an eyebrow. And that silver rod necklace. Suki released her grip from Tenten's arm, and glanced at Hinata. That necklace was worn by our village's first queen. Yes, it's a tradition to wear when you are all becoming royalty to the village's throne. It's valuable. Tenten grasped her own arm where Suki's fingernail dents were. How valuable. Suki's eyes grew big as she slapped her hands over her own mouth. Oops, she muttered out. Hinata tried to forget that part. Did Reiken give it to Suese, like a marriage gift? Suki unclasped her hands from her mouth, and smiled. Defiantly, yes. So when did you take it back from Suese? Tenten asked. When yes. Hinata's face turned pale, as she looked down at her neck. She was wearing the same necklace that AS person had worn. Suki decided to resume the lesson. Rule 6, appearance is second to everything. Tenten looked hard at Hinata. She looks, okay, Suki-san. Okay. Suki groaned. Okay. Is not even, okay. A queen should be elegant. Graceful, darling and truly. Suki paused as her cold eyes scanned Hinata. Always wearing dresses and gowns. Hinata's face turned stern. Oh, be quiet. Rule 7, never insult royalty or guests. Tenten warned. Hinata shrugged and turned her head to Tenten. Fine. Suki nodded happily. Rule 8, always show affection to your king. Hinata couldn't help but to shiver inside. Understood, she sighed. Oh. Rule 9, Suki said, wagging her pointer finger in Hinata's face. First impressions are everything, that's why appearances are second. Understood. Tenten then smiled, singing, oh. Suki-san, can I do? Rule 10. Suki nodded. Tenten smiled and poked Hinata's nose. Rule 10. The library's large twin doors swung open. Since they were heavy, the doors didn't slam against the walls, but rather took force to open. But the doors being opened made a really loud sound, like stone was moving over a tomb. Naruto. Tenten sighed, putting her hand on her heart. You scared us. Naruto smiled, scratching his blonde head. Sorry. Hinata, Himpuden turned her head to the opposite direction. What do you want? She hissed under her breath. Suki glanced at Hinata. Be nice. That was rule 7. Hinata rolled her eyes and shrugged. Naruto stole a glance at Hinata. She looked so cute when she was mad. Maybe she should act maid more often. And her new look reminded Naruto of when she was around 12. She was so delicate, and sweet, then suddenly she got the idea she should toughen up. Sure, her missions got harder and she got tougher, but she was still the Hinata that Naruto knew and loved. Then, after the incident with Sakura, Hinata is different. Or just trying to act different. Tenten's fingers appeared in Naruto's glance. Tenten snapped twice. Hey, Naruto, she asked annoyed. Naruto blinked stupidly. NN. Oh, yeah. Suki folded her arms over her chest. Can I help you? Naruto just showed off his famous stupid grin. Nope. It stayed quiet for a moment. Then a scroll smacked into Naruto's head. Then leave, Hinata said aggressively. Suki kicked Hinata in the heel. Manners, she reminded. Naruto jumped to his feet, bent over and picked up the scroll, and held it in his hand. Actually, I just wanted to say something. Hinata's eyes went big, then softened. Tenten blinked in interest. Oh. Naruto tossed the scroll to Tenten. Yeah. Suki sat back in the leather chair, and sighed. You have permission to speak. Thanks, Naruto said, and then looking at Hinata. Hinata, he started. Hinata jumped up and started pushing Naruto out of the library. Nice to see you again, Naruto. She stalled. Now leave. Kicking Naruto out and closing the doors, Hinata sighed in relief. Suki just raised her eyebrows. What just happened? Hinata smiled stupidly, trying to cover it up. Oh, absolutely, nothing. Truth is, Naruto was about to say he loved Hinata. Gulp. Rule 10, Tenten declared, never let be rude to your friends. Hinata bit the corner of her mouth, holding in the anger. She wanted to say that Naruto wasn't her friend, but now an enemy, but she just nodded and said, understood. That night, Hinata was looking at her hair. Everyone was probably already asleep, and she sat at her dresser, tugging on her new short hair. I look 12 again, except with longer bangs and my hair is a bit different, she sighed. And with that, a knock on the door. Hinata glanced at her alarm clock. Who would be knocking at her guest room door at midnight, anyways? Opening the door hastily, she peeked out safely in the hallway. There was no one there. Pissed, Hinata, a voice called. Up here. Hinata looked up to the hallway ceiling and nearly had a heart attack. Naruto used chakra control to hang upside down, and he released it as he jumped down to the ground smoothly. He smiled warmly. Hello. Hinata was about to shut her door and block him out, if he didn't move his foot in the way. Move, Hinata said softly, and annoyed. She tried kicking his foot. Hinata, he whispered. What? She hissed. Can I come in? Hinata struggled to close the door, even though he kept his foot in the way. No. Can I talk to you out here? He asked, desperately, but kindly. Hinata gave up and opened her guest room door, letting herself out of the hallway. You have 2 minutes. Naruto smiled happily, as he noticed that he was still taller than her. You seriously need to grow, you know that. Hinata smiled, and then caught herself harshly. Her conscience scolded her, while her stomach buzzed, while her heart felt frozen, but with a little flame burning inside. I can't control my growth. Naruto wrapped his arms around her. I like you that way, he said, rocking her around in his arms. Hinata sighed. She didn't really try to get away from him, so she smoothly just unhooked his arms from her. I don't. You don't like yourself? No, I hate myself. Why? He asked, shocked. Hinata sighed and hugged her stomach. Is this what you wanted to talk about? No, but, why don't you like the skin you're in? Hinata looked sadly in his soft eyes. Because I'm a fool. A stupid fool. Naruto felt his stomach sink a little. No, I'm a fool. I'm an idiot. Hinata nodded. Yeah, you are. Naruto just laughed. Hinata was surprised. Usually if someone insulted him, Naruto would throw something or say something, or do something besides just laugh like it didn't affect him. But, you're not a fool, Naruto protested. You're perfect, personality and appearance-wise. I like your hair, your skin, your eyes, your clothes, your necklace, and you're beautiful. Naruto saw the expression on Hinata's face, and cleared his throat. Your beautiful personality. Aha, Hinata sighed, tugging her necklace. I hate this thing, but Suki-san makes me wear it. Naruto smiled. Anyways, I wanted to know why you kicked me out of the library. Well, Hinata sighed, you were about to say something. Something. Naruto repeated. You mean that I was going to say, I love you. Hinata actually smiled, as she folded her arms across her chest. Naruto, I'm engaged. You shouldn't say that. Hinata's face turned stern. Where's your ring? Naruto asked smugly. Hinata touched her necklace. In Suki-san and Reiken-san's culture, this necklace is the ring. Naruto smiled. Good night. Hinata wiped off her cheek. Naruto, I'm engaged. You can't. You really don't like Reiken, do you? Naruto asked. Hinata gulped and turned on her heels. It's a mission. If I don't marry him, the mission will fail, and it will embarrass all of Konoha. And with that, Hinata closed the door. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.